Good morning, good evening, and good afternoon, ladies and gentle germs. Welcome back to another video. Today is day numero 12 of the 14-day video a day challenge for the month of June. And as I'm sure you can tell by my surroundings, it's time for another car vlog. I'm on my way to work right now. First things first, happy Father's Day to all the dads out there. A lot of my subscribers, you know, we are friends on Facebook, we follow each other on Twitter. I'll be seeing, man. I appreciating y'all, you know. Fathers are a very important figure in a child's life. Don't ever let anybody tell you otherwise. So what is the topic for today's video? Well, I want to sit here and talk to you guys about some of my favorite dads in all of gaming. Boy, we ain't going to do that. Who's actually going to do that sort of discussion? You know, now I think about it, it's YouTube. People will do anything for clicks. People have done less for clicks. A few days back, I did a discussion talking about this just ongoing notion from individuals that E3 is somehow not relevant due to the fact that PlayStation was not attending the event and just in general, you know, it being the final big E3 before the next generation consoles launch. A lot of people were just going to be under the impression that, you know, E3 is dying and, you know, why do we even worry about this? You know, I did a video discussing how I don't really believe in that, but what I wanted to do to cap off this event is basically talk about some of the games that I thought were really interesting, some of the games that I am looking forward to playing. Now, here's the thing. I talk about how I still believe E3 is relevant and it's great and we should all watch it. This year's E3, I barely watched any of the footage that was there, with the exception of the Square Enix and Nintendo, Microsoft conferences. Those three conferences, I didn't watch any of them, and only two of which I actually saw live. Everything else, I basically just went off of the rundown on what they announced. So, yeah, it's kind of funny. I said, yeah, E3 is still relevant. Doesn't watch, like, the other half of the conferences. But there was a multitude of reasons for that. There's a method to my madness, if you will. One thing that I've been doing here in the past couple of years is if I'm looking forward to a game and I'm highly anticipating it, I will shut myself off from all kinds of footage of it. You know, there were a couple games where I did that. Most recently, it was God of War and Marvel's Spider-Man. After the initial trailers that they came out with, I was done watching any footage. I didn't care if they had developer diaries. I didn't care if they had just like a random trailer on a Tuesday afternoon. Unless it was something set in a conference where you're watching it and you're forced to view it, I didn't watch them, and I think in my benefit, it actually helped me. So with the 5 games here I'm going to talk about, I've only seen maybe a collective 5 to 10 minutes of footage for all of these games. So I'm not going to be giving you guys the most in-depth discussions on why I'm looking forward to them for this particular reason. I'm just going to gloss over them because in my particular situation, I feel it's best to go into these games fresh. So let's start off with the first game, and I'm just going to let you guys know 3 out of the 5 games on the list, no, 2 out of the 5 games on the list are going to be Nintendo Switch exclusives, because the Switch is in a really awesome situation right now, considering that it's just now hitting its stride while PlayStation 4 and Xbox One are kind of winding down. And that's to be expected considering the Switch launched at like a weird midpoint in the generation for the other guys. So the first game I want to talk to you guys about is Astral Chain. Yes, 3.5 minutes into the video, I'm finally getting into it. And these are not listed in like the most anticipated, least anticipated. I'm just vibing with you guys until I get into work. So Astral Chain is coming from Platinum Games. Platinum Games is no stranger to the video game industry. My boy Jack Move Johnny said it best. For better or for worse, Platinum Games is the resident thought of the industry. And by that he means you give them a property, you throw $5 their way, and they will work on a project for you. So Platinum's catalog has been sketchy as of late. They've put out some really good gems, such as the Bayonetta series, Metal Gear Rising, and of course, Nier Automata, but they've also put out some duds, mostly the licensed games, such as Legend of Korra, and unfortunately, I was looking forward to it immensely, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. They had a couple of like smaller good gems there, like Vanquish and Transformers Devastation, Anarchy Reigns. But as a whole, you know, Platinum, they don't really have too many games that are just like, yo, you are a top tier developer. More often than not, you play a Platinum game, it's fun for like 4 to 6 hours, and that's essentially it. That doesn't mean that the games are bad. They're just not really, like, you always expect like Platinum, you could go above and beyond, but they just don't for whatever reason, you know? But what we've seen from Astral Chain, honestly, it surprised me because I've been saying this basically since they unveiled it a few months ago. I was just like, where did this game come from? Like, seriously, where did Astral Chain come from? Because for the longest time, if you're a Nintendo Switch fan, you've been looking forward to Bayonetta 3. Bayonetta 3 has been on everybody's radar for almost 2 years. They've shown nothing on Bayonetta 3, yet they come out here in a random direct, announce Astral Chain. This game looks ambitious as hell, and it's coming out in August, and it's coming out before Bayonetta 3 even gets gameplay? Bro, that is insane. So Astral Chain is one of my most anticipated games because for me, it finally is fulfilling one of those niches I wanted for Platinum, where they just go above and beyond and they just get out of their norm, you know? And it just looks great, man. I've seen some of the footage that they showed off at the Treehouse, and dude, it's looking freaking insane. I know a lot of people were saying that Astral Chain has potential to be Game of the Year based off of like just how crazy the mechanics are and everything. I didn't believe it when they first unveiled it because I'm like, come on guys, let's see more concrete gameplay. But just seeing how in-depth this title is and how they're incorporating a lot of stuff, and it doesn't look like it's just going to be the standard 4 to 6 hour linear Platinum Games experience, it's looking incredible. And the fact that it's exclusive to Nintendo Switch is just like, whoa. So I don't know, maybe there's something with this Nintendo exclusive partnership that they got going on. Maybe this is benefiting them. A lot of people want Nintendo to buy Platinum, but to be honest, I just like it when all these bigger companies fund them and fund these creative visions to make good games, and don't just say, here's 6 months, pump out a Legend of Korra game, you know? Like, Platinum has all the talents, but then when they're working on like 6, 7 games at the same time, which they were, you know only 2 or 3 of them are probably going to be good, and the other half is just going to be terrible, which is what we saw. But Astral Chain is just looking freaking insane. I like how they have the switching going on with the, I believe they're called the Legions. Like I said, I've only seen a few minutes of footage because I don't want to spoil myself. The Legions, you know, I call them the Personas because that's essentially what they are to me. Yeah, I know, casual fan, whatever. But it's looking great, and I can't wait. It's coming out at the end of August. Speaking of another Nintendo Switch exclusive that is going to be out this summer, it's a trend. A lot of Switch games coming out in the summer. I thought developers don't release games in the summer. Another Switch exclusive coming out at the end of July is Fire Emblem Three Houses. Now, if you follow the channel, you would know that I am a big Fire Emblem fan. You know, I grew up, and I swear to God, it's going to be the last time I adjust this thing. I really need to get a mount. You know that I grew up... Are you fucking for real? You had a stop line. All right, Karen. Okay. I swear to God. Oh, we're coming up on that hill again, so let me hold the camera. Yeah. So you would know if you follow the channel that I'm a big Fire Emblem fan. Of course, like most fans in the States, I got my introduction not from the first Fire Emblem game, but from Super Smash Bros. Melee when I saw Roy and Marth, and I'm just like, who are these guys? So I went to Blockbuster, I rented the first Fire Emblem, and I've been a fan ever since. I've gone back and played, you know, some of the older entries, you know, via ROMs and translations and all that, because we didn't get all the Fire Emblem games in the States, unfortunately. I think that was a big missed opportunity for Nintendo to capitalize on, and they just never did. But with Awakening, it reinvigorated the franchise. It gave it the breath of fresh air that it needed. And that's not to say that it was stagnating. It's just that Fire Emblem really had not... Like, it's a legendary series, but it hadn't really appealed to the masses as it should to warrant being a game. They were going to cancel the franchise after Awakening, believe it or not. But thankfully, it did its thing. And ever since then... I know a lot of people have been kind of like old school Fire Emblem fans. They just don't like this new direction the series is going with, like the anime aesthetic, and Fates in general was just like, why? But I'm just so thankful that the series is where it is today, and it's become so popular to the point where it is a main pillar of Nintendo's franchise, where they can create mobile games based off Fire Emblem, very successful mobile games, where they can come out here and they can do like these Dynasty Warriors spin-offs, and we're getting a new console Fire Emblem game, if you will. That's pretty freaking dope. And from what I've seen in the gameplay of Fire Emblem Three Houses, it looks like it's keeping more with the Awakening sort of shtick, but they're not just going full crazy like they did with Fates, and they had like 3 separate versions. Just like some of the things that made sense in the context of Awakening for its story, they incorporated in Fates, which made no sense. But this one just looks like it's a great return to form in addition to introducing more stuff. And it seems like a more ambitious Fire Emblem game for the first time in a while, considering they're not held back by the Nintendo handhelds. Even though the Switch is a handheld, it's a more stronger handheld. Like that's a big jump from the 3DS to the Switch is huge, unless you're working on a Game Freak game. It's not that big of a jump then, unfortunately. But yeah, so Fire Emblem is looking dope. It comes out at the end of July. Can't wait to get my strategy fix on. Now, the next game on here is, again, another RPG. It's a trend. I'm a big RPG gamer. I love playing these 70-hour games that I have no reason playing whatsoever because I'm never going to finish them. I'll finish them eventually. And that's The Outer Worlds. This is coming from Obsidian. And Obsidian has, I'm just so thankful Obsidian is in the position where they are right now and they have been acquired by Microsoft, because there was a time where, similar to Fire Emblem, we didn't know if Obsidian was going to last, because after Fallout New Vegas, they kind of went independent and they were doing their own thing. They were doing some Kickstarters, and those, they were a good success. They made money off of it, but I don't think to the point where they can justify their entire existence. You know what I'm saying? Like that sort of thing. But Outer Worlds is just looking phenomenal. The best way I could describe it is like it's a spiritual successor to Fallout New Vegas in all of the best ways. It's just got a lot of the great same charm of Fallout New Vegas, and it's a new IP, so they're just doing something new. Let me just check the time right here so I'm not uber late to work. Hold on, I got a couple more minutes, so I'm going to have to breeze through the next few games real quick. But The Outer Worlds, it's just looking like another expansive Obsidian game. And, one of the things I really hoped with Fallout New Vegas was it would get Bethesda to reevaluate some of their other catalog. I mean, that's not to say Bethesda has made bad games, but as far as RPGs go, I think that letting go of Obsidian or whatever was the worst thing they could do, because they crafted the best modern Fallout game, It still felt like a sequel to Fallout 3 or another game in the modern universe, but it felt more traditional in a weird way. Anyways, Outer Worlds. Very much looking forward to that. Now, number 4 on the list is a game that's honestly very surprising, because I never thought in my wildest imaginations I would have a Square Enix game on my most anticipated E3 list. And it's a Square Enix game that has a release date. And it's a Square Enix game that's coming out in less than a year from its reveal. And that's the Final Fantasy VII Remake. I've done a video on the remake already, and I actually am going to do an updated one in a few weeks, because there have been more tidbits of information about it that's worthy of discussion. But it's just looking like it's checking all the boxes in all the best ways possible. And I'm very surprised as a jilted Final Fantasy fan. That's just Square Enix is actually doing things right. Now, it remains to be seen. Like I said, we are still a few months off from the game, so there could be potential for them to, do the whole Square Enix thing. But I don't know. I feel like the universe and all the stars and the planets are aligning for this title. Yeah, at least the very first part of the title, because knowing the future of this game, we're probably going to be playing this well into the next decade, 2025 or something. So maybe I was right when I said the game will come out in 2024. Maybe that's when the last part will come out. Jeez. Oh man, if we're lucky, if we're optimistic anyways. But yeah, it's just looking really cool. And again, I'll save all the updated discussions. I'm sorry, I know you guys wanted me to talk more about it. I'll save it for another video, because your boy got to make some money. Not through YouTube, because I could care less about the money YouTube. I mean, I got to make sure I'm not late for work. And the last game on here, no shocker to anybody, it's coming from my favorite Western developer. It's coming from the developers behind the greatest RPG in the past 15 years. I've been looking forward to this game since that CG trailer, 7 years ago? Starring the man, the myth, the legend, the nicest guy in the face of the earth, Keanu Reeves, Cyberpunk 2077. I don't need to say anything else other than CD Projekt Red, right? The Witcher 3, I've said all I can say about that. It's my favorite RPG. That game, what it does for its story, and how they literally just have you go along the main path of the story. They'll take a thread from that, turn that into the side quest, and have it has as much relevance as a main quest. Great universe, great world, great characters. Those guys are taking everything they've learned and they're crafting Cyberpunk 2077. Bro, this is just going to be out of freaking control. Out of control. And for that reason, I've only seen maybe 10 minutes of footage, because I already know what it's about. So bar CD Projekt Red doing some type of egregious business practice or just whatever the usual thing that could happen with AAA games. I hope it doesn't. It probably wouldn't. But yeah, Cyberpunk 2077. Most anticipated game for 2020. And it comes out a month after the Final Fantasy VII Remake. 2020 is looking insane, man. You want to talk about rest in peace my wallet here, rest in peace my wallet there. 2020, the swan song year of the generation? Crazy. Anyways, guys, those are my top 5 most anticipated games at E3. I know it sounds like I was rushing it, but I do have to get into work for the evening. But post your comments down below on what are some of the most anticipated games for you. Just let me know. So for me to for now, my name is NGS signing out. Like always, I will catch you guys later. Peace.